So Andrew Yang has officially announced recently that he is boycotting MSNBC because of the treatment towards him, his campaign, and the way they've handled him during the debates. So, of course, if you want to go check out Andrew Yang's Twitter feed, he went into depth about some of his reasons why he's deciding to boycott MSNBC. He goes a lot more in depth on things like that. But just to give you a couple of the reasons. One, he doesn't like how he's been treated during his, time on stage during the debates. Doesn't feel like he's been given equal time, fair treatment. They also fail to, according to him, recognize him. And I say according to him, but I'm not disagreeing with him. They fail to recognize him as someone who's growing at a rapid pace in this Democratic primary. Okay, and they've even mispronounced his name multiple times, and I think called him like John Yang or something like that. So not good, not good at all. And so he's announced he's going to boycott them, and I'm completely behind him, 100%. Okay, but I think that for a moment we should possibly examine one other person who possibly should boycott MSNBC. And we're going to take a look at some clips of that in just a moment. But before we get to that, I want to say where he made the big announcement, Andrew Yang, he went on Wolf Blitzer on CNN and said how he missed CNN being the debate moderators, as if he thinks that CNN is being much more fair to him. We're going to come back around to that a little bit later also. But first, we're going to take a look at these clips, take a look at some other things that have gone on MSNBC in regards to candidates, particularly Tulsi Gabbard. Okay. Before we get to that, also, just like to point out, if you're new to the channel, you like the video, remember to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get this channel to grow more and more daily, get our message out there to more people. So if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up, and then please subscribe to the channel. Now let's get to these videos.
Think about 2016, you think about now. From my outside looking in, perspective, it appears that the Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Biden sort of dichotomy sounds very similar to the either Bernie Sanders or Jill Stein versus Hillary Clinton dichotomy. It feels like the Russians are running the same game, only now Biden is Hillary and Tulsi Gabbard is Jill Stein/Sanders.
Right. So it's slightly different in 2020 only because President Trump is the incumbent this time. So for them, it's secure the base, split the opposition, just like a political campaign. And so from Putin's perspective, sure, he would love to see Trump in there. And to get that outcome, well, you go against the biggest challengers, to Trump, and you try and prop up people that are divisive or splitting the opposition on the Democratic side. So this would be populist candidates on the political left. Draw from the world, which is a message that Russia wants Americans saying to Americans. So it's a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, she uses the term regime change wars a lot, which is a common term, in my understanding of the way that Russia talks about the United States.
Whoa. Okay, first of all, just stop right here because now we're going to roll into another clip. Joy Reid, to cut to the chase, you've been exposed for lying in the past. So, yeah, you're such a trustworthy source, first and foremost, okay? But now Clint Watts, that's who you're talking to. We just made a video a couple of days ago about how he tried to run her into the mud. As her, I mean Tulsi Gabbard, where he tried to basically use a hit piece. Now, if you pay attention there, what is the title below his name? Oh, former FBI special agent. So someone else from the intelligence community. Wow, that's just who I think has excellent political acumen, definitely a trustworthy source, because our lovely intelligence community did such a good job about getting us the correct facts about going into Iraq and weapons of mass destruction and blah, blah, or weapons of mass destruction rather, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they did such a crackerjack job on that. They never tell a lie. They're, just like Honest Abe and George Washington, never tell a lie. Okay? Yeah, right. So this is who we're going to bring on here and talk to inform the American people. Someone from the intelligence community and a journalist who's been exposed in the past. Very, very trustworthy. Yeah. Wonderful. And regime change war. That's a Russian term. That's a term used by Russians. No, that's a term used by a lot of people who don't agree with the government and the powers that be kissing the military-industrial complex's ass by going around to all these countries waging wars to try and control the world's affairs and trying to be the world police. Let me put it to you this way. I heard many people using that term, including myself, long before Russiagate and Donald Trump in 2016 and all that. I used that term back in high school. Okay? So, no. That's, just because the Russians said it doesn't mean that it's a Russian term. You know? This is the level of false narratives and bullcrap MSNBC is going to push. And now it gets even better. Let's take a look at this clip.
What party did you see on display on that stage tonight?
Well, you know, I thought it was a lively debate. A couple of things just to run through quickly. I think because our friend here said a lot of stuff. I think with Tulsi Gabbard, the challenge, I think, with Ms. Gabbard is, yes, as somebody who was very much against the Iraq War, got out of news, really, initially because of my opposition to the Iraq War. I think a lot more people than we know feel that way. Even people who have military backgrounds who say, why did we do this? Why did we spend our country's human resources on this war? And I think it was a lot of the reason that Barack Obama was a viable candidate for president, is that he could see ahead that this was not a wise idea. And I think a lot of Democrats preferred him over Hillary Clinton in 2008 because of that. I think that that's true. I think the challenge that Tulsi Gabbard is having is that you can feel that way about the Iraq War, as I definitely did, but also find it odd that the way she talks about regime change wars is exactly the same way that Russia talks about them.
Right.
She uses this language that feels straight out of kind of the Kremlin.
Sure.
It is odd. Yeah. And that she went to see Bashar al-Assad and cannot take away from her interaction with him or her observation of him that he is a criminal who is not just hurting random people. He's hurting his own people.
The fact that she couldn't call him a war criminal is stunning.
That you can't see what he is also a weird Kremlin-y view that she has of the world that makes her an odd fit for a party of Democrats. I'm not sure what it is she's doing.
He's Bashar al-Assad.
Exactly. This is not a neutral character on the world stage. He is a palpably evil character. And the fact that she doesn't have an opinion on that is weird.
No, Joy. No. What's weird is just how much bull crap you and all of your ilk in the mainstream media can spew on a daily, regular basis with a straight frickin' face. That's what's weird. That's what's weird. And pretty frickin' sad, too. Okay, start breaking this down step by step. There is no difference between Tulsi Gabbard's opposition to what we're doing in Syria and the opposition that people like Barack Obama gave to the Iraq War. None. The only difference might be that someone like Tulsi might actually follow through on her promise to get us the hell out. That's the only difference. Okay? No, and of course you say, well no, there's rational. No, you want to know why you consider it different? Because it was a Republican president along with some corporate Democrats back in the early 2000s. But it was the George Bush administration, George W. Bush, that took us into Iraq. In other words, it was a Republican president. So when it became clear it was a big load of crap, wasn't a good idea, all you Democrats, even some of you Democrats who were for it, and then they're, Republicans. But when it was a Democrat who tried to take us into all this conflict, and of course the Republicans were vehemently behind it as well, because Republicans are very hawkish these days. have been for over, 16 years. Okay. Now you don't have a scapegoat. And you have to be tribalist and loyalist to your Democratic establishment, your overlords, because the same people who run ads on your news network are the same people lining these status quo establishment politicians' pockets. And you probably like your job, huh, Joy? Like that big old paycheck, Joy? Probably considering you went on later in this clip, before I cut it off here, to then go on to say how your kids still have to live at home with you because they can't afford to move out on their own. Well, let me guess. You're the concerned mother. You need your money to take care of your home. So you got to keep kissing some corporate ass, keep pitching some status quo propaganda. That way you keep your income coming in. Well, it's like this. If you're willing to spew a bunch of BS, and you're willing to spew propaganda, and you're willing to basically sell your soul to some wealthy overlords to push their BS narratives, you're going to be the one that has to live with that for the rest of your life. And let that sit on your conscience, especially if people like you keep getting their way and this country completely goes to crap one of these days and completely goes down the toilet. Because that's where it's going to go as long as you keep electing these status quo corporate politicians who have been bad trade dealing and screwing the American middle class over for quite some time, and that goes for Democrats and Republicans. That's what's going to happen. But in the meantime, you keep pushing this crap on Tulsi Gabbard. Now, that being said, who else is on this lovely little panel of trustworthy people? Well, the guy with the receding hairline, the white-haired little bitty head and the beard, he tried to run an attack piece on Tulsi Gabbard, saying she was disingenuous during the debate. I'm pretty sure that was the same guy. Tulsi Gabbard had to fire back at him over on Chris Matthews' show. Okay? Then you've got old lying Brian Williams sitting over here. Oh, yeah, that's sad. It's not in the regular eye doctor. Shut up, Brian. Need we mention the lie you got called in? Yeah, no, Brian. Please, shut your trap. You should have got out of the news business a long time ago because you are as trustworthy as the frickin' Onion. Okay? And then who else we have? Oh, Claire McCaskill. Claire McCaskill, so bought and paid for, she refused to even try and run a popular pitch to her constituents because she was so bought and paid for by her donors. She just vehemently had to stick to what she wanted to do for them and said to hell with her constituents. And guess what? She got beat. She got beat. She lost in the midterm. So yes, of course, that is someone we definitely should hear from about how to win an election. Someone who just lost. A plus, MSNBC, A plus. And now, who's the last one over there sitting on his big old tuchus on the end, spouting in his 2 cents? Yep, such a shame, such a shame, such a shame. It's horrible. Good old Michael Moore. Now, some people may look back to a bygone era when Michael Moore was actually somewhat of a truthful person. And apparently, I think he has come out and endorsed Bernie or something like that. I haven't really studied who Michael Moore's endorsed this cycle. Don't really care because I heard what he said about Bernie last go-around, and then he jumped behind Hillary. And I have to say this. I've heard the whole argument about, well, we didn't want Trump. You don't vote against a candidate. You vote for a candidate. And if anyone truly believes that we would have been far more better under a Hillary Clinton presidency than a Donald Trump presidency, I've got a bridge to sell you. I get it. A lot of people loathe the ground that Donald Trump walks on. Okay? And you're entitled to your stance. I'm not saying that I'm this big pro-Trumper. You know, but I used to have a different stance on the man when he ran the first time around, but I did acknowledge a lot of his negatives. I did. I was at least just hoping that some of the things he was at least saying that were closer to old Democrat policies on the free trade, the anti-interventionism, I was really hoping. I was like, please, Lord, stick to it, please. Because I knew that Hillary Rodham Clinton would not. And she made no bones about it. She made no bones about it. She wasn't going to be that kind of a candidate. She was going to put no-fly zones in Syria. Yeah, she flat out was like, yeah, I'm going to be hawkish, so what? Kiss my ass and vote for me. And if you don't, you're a deplorable. So, so take your stance on that. But if you don't agree with me, that's fine. My personal opinion, aside from all the tweeting and the running of the mouth, Hillary Clinton would have been just as bad. You just may not have heard about it because it would have all been behind the scenes. And, of course, these mainstream news outlets just wouldn't be reporting on it the same. They just simply wouldn't. They would not be reporting on it the same way that they do for Trump. That's why you hear so much of the stuff that you probably don't approve with for Trump policy-wise. What you just don't know is a lot of the same stuff that Obama was doing during his presidency. And you didn't hear about it under Obama because he was a media darling. Okay? Final point here. She won't acknowledge that Assad was a war criminal. And you hear the whole choir chime in. Yeah, that's so horrible. Everybody from Moore, McCaskill, Williams, and whoever that other jackass was sitting on this panel. Okay? And they're all just sitting there, yeah, it's so horrible. It's so horrible. I heard with my own 2 ears, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was even on The View, and she's probably said it in many other interviews too. Tulsi Gabbard has said very clearly, no muddy water anywhere, very clear, that Bashar al-Assad is a brutal dictator. He's responsible for the death of many, many people. She made no bones about it. She didn't give him an excuse. She didn't try to cover up for him. No, none of that. She was very clear. He's a brutal dictator. But since you're so hung up on war criminals, Joy, when have you come out and rallied against Bush and Cheney and called them war criminals? Have you done that? Does anyone out there know of where she's done that? If she has, send me the clip. Send me the clip. Because Bush and Cheney were war criminals. They had the CIA waterboarding people. And of course, even under the Obama administration and the Bush administration, what do you think the big leaks were about the double tap, going back and hitting areas over again and killing, innocents and medical nurses trying to treat the wounded? Okay? And all the drone strikes and whatnot that were killing more innocents and civilians. Really? Really? When are you going to come out and call those war criminals out, huh? Because they are. But I bet you're silent on that, huh? Yeah, of course you are. Of course you are. And so, last point, now that we've covered just how crooked MSNBC is, and I think that Tulsi Gabbard should definitely jump in with Andrew Yang and protest this freaking network because they are nothing but trash and garbage and a bunch of propaganda jackasses. Which I kind of have that stance on most of the mainstream media at this point, but MSNBC is really turning up the temperature here in the BS department. Okay, they're kicking it up a notch. But Andrew Yang, as I said earlier, went on Wolf Blitzer's program and basically tried to imply that CNN was so much better than MSNBC. I just covered 2 days ago what CNN had to say in their, well, it wasn't, I guess you could say CNN, but their supposed Iowa voters who didn't seem like they had been tipped off and had scripts written beforehand at all. No, they all seem so genuine to bring the same 9 people on after every single debate to hear what they thought. Blah, 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 blah. And of course, after the last debate, we all know whose clips were going viral. Someone like Tulsi Gabbard, where she smashed Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg. But who did they say won? Booker and Klobuchar. Booker and Klobuchar. Booker and Klobuchar. Warren and Booker. Really? Really? And so, of course, who did they say should have dropped out, Andrew? You, Tulsi, and Tom Steyer. Now, screw Tom Steyer. I don't really care about that guy at all. Mr. Environmentalist that made a lot of money from the coal industry. Okay. Mr. I got my poll numbers because as soon as Trump was elected, I was running impeachment ads, getting people to sign petitions that I then turned around and used and said, you supported me for president. Oh, yeah, that's rich. That's freaking rich. Talk about playing dirty to get yourself on the main stage. You certainly didn't have the kind of grassroots movement behind you that you're pretending to have. People sign that petition under different pretenses, and they just don't want to talk about it. So screw him. He can stay. He can go. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm not supporting him. But they were quick, those voters, Andrew, to come out and say, you and Tulsi need to go. The two of you who are definite outsiders, okay, and are coming up fast in a lot of these polls and kneecapping a lot of these corporate politicians like Kamala Harris and so on your way up that ladder. Yeah, they said you should step aside and let the other people have their day in the spotlight because it's not your time. That's how genuine CNN is to you. That's how honest they're going to treat you. They're not going to do anything any different. So, in my opinion, if it wasn't for the fact that you guys need to be in these debates to get some exposure, I'd boycott both of them. I really would. But definitely, you two should both be standing your ground right now. And I would love to see Tulsi Gabbard jump in behind this effort with Andrew Yang and team up against these freaking crooked-ass, propaganda-pushing, pencil-neck liars, because it is high time someone put a stop to it. It really is. So I hope everyone's enjoyed the video. You know, if you've got anything, you agree, disagree, drop a comment down below. If you like the video, remember to give us a thumbs up. And if you're brand new, again, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get more and more people in every day to get the message out. And also, if you like the video and you subscribe, share the video. Share it around on social media so other people can see this, you know. You try to get more and more of this message out there to people all the time. The more people we can inform, the better off we're going to be heading into these primaries.